Fox Carolina. The 10 o'clock news starts now with breaking news.
Take a look at what happened.
Well, you just heard them, those terrifying moments as shots ring out during former President Donald Trump's campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. This now being investigated as an attempted assassination.
Well, tonight, President Trump confirms he was shot in the ear and is okay. You can see blood on the side of his face as Secret Service rushed him off stage. You can see in this moment, they're laying on top of him, protecting him, and then not long after, they didn't bring him up. You hear agents even say, shoot her down, and they whisk him off stage down those steps. Also, just moments ago, the Secret Service releasing a statement saying that the suspected shooter fired shots outside of the rally venue and was shot and killed by agents. Secret Service also confirms one person at the rally was killed and 2 others were critically injured.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us here for a little bit later edition of our 10 o'clock news. We've been following this shooting since it happened, and we're getting reaction from across the state and across the country, really, as this continues to really unfold and we start learning more information about this shooting, even speaking to witnesses there at the rally who have ties to South Carolina.
But right now, we do want to get to the former president himself. Not long ago, he posted an update on Truth Social. You can see the entire statement here. I'm going to go ahead and read it in full for you tonight because we were understanding that he was getting medical treatment there in Pennsylvania. Then he was able to take to Truth Social. He wrote, quote, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place. So I realized then what was happening. God bless America." And now tonight, that we know that the former president is okay, we want to go and play out that dramatic moment for you at his rally that happened this evening.
Yeah, that's right. And these moments are leading up to the shots being fired. And less than a minute later, you'll hear the moment agents say, "Shoot her down."
Take a look at what happened.
Move it there. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Up. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair.
Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready.
You ready?
Down. Down.
Are we good? Shooter's down. Are we good to move?
Down. We're good to move.
Clear.
We're clear.
Let's move.
We're clear.
And then just moments after that, you can see Secret Service agents work to get the former president up. That is when he starts to fist pump to the crowd, mouthing to the crowd, "Fight." That's when the crowd then erupted in cheers. You can see his fist pump happening here in just a few seconds. And then everyone starts to stand up and cheer as they try to move him there off the stage, down those steps. He's even saying, "Let me get my shoes first." But again, tonight, we are knowing that he is okay. He was shot there in the ear, but that's the moment where he starts to pump his fist, saying "fight" to the crowd, and they cheer him on as he's taken off, surrounded by Secret Service agents. Now, reaction continues to pour in across the state, across the country. President Biden speaking not long ago on that shooting. He says he plans on speaking to the former president soon, and he also said everyone should condemn what happened today.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to give it, if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is, The Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it.
Now, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster also releasing a statement on his X page saying that the risks and forces that President Trump is willing to face to serve his country are unbounded. He is the face of America's strength today. Peggy and I join millions of others praying for his safety and security and that of his family and our country. And South Carolina Representative William Timmons also reacting to this shocking news. I was actually able to speak with him some time ago. He says that this is a very sad day for our country, but President Trump will stand strong.
We're on the verge of losing our country, and the left's willingness to use all means to maintain a control on power knows no ends. So we got 120 days left, 100 and something like that. I mean, there will be more of this, but we're going to stand strong. We're going to stand firm. We're going to make sure that the American dream survives, because look, our country's 248 years old. And I mean, here we are at the precipice of I mean, this is a sad day in our country. But I do believe that this is going to be a turning point. The American people are waking up, and we're going to take our country back. We're going to make sure that our kids and grandkids have the same opportunities we have. And that's why President Trump is doing this, and that's why we're going to continue fighting for our country.
Now, as reaction continues to pour in from officials across the state and the country, we were able to speak with a family there at the rally there in Pennsylvania. They have connections to South Carolina. They were able to finally leave the rally because that is now an active crime scene, so they were stuck in traffic trying to leave that venue for some time. As they were able to leave, they pulled over the side of the road. They were able to collect their thoughts and speak with us one-on-one, and here's what they witnessed at that rally for the former President Donald Trump. Well, thank you so much for taking some time with us. First and foremost, we are all glad that you guys are safe and okay. But Judy, let's go ahead and begin with you. If you can take us back to that moment, were you even able to process what was happening there at the rally, which you were in attendance of?
No, it was very surreal. He had his thing up. He was talking about immigration, and we were just listening to everything he was saying. And then we heard gunshots. At first, I wasn't even really sure that was what was happening. It sounded like it was coming from the left of where I was. And then Secret Service was shooting back, and then they got him to get behind the podium. Trump, they got him down on the ground.
You mentioned the Secret Service shooting back. Did you see that moment where they were returning fire?
Yeah.
I'm gonna chirp in. So before that, like the shooting started, I looked up because there was 2 snipers on each side of him, like on the roof behind him, and I saw them pick up their guns, their rifles or whatever it was, and the next thing I know, like that's when I heard the shots fired. We all got on the ground and saw Trump jump on the ground, have Secret Service push him over, and just really crazy.
It definitely sounded like 2 distinct sounds. Like the first sounds we heard were like more of a pop, and then what we think was the return gunfire was more like a more distinct gun sound.
Andrea, as you guys are sitting there now, I know it took a while to get out of the rallies because now it's an active crime scene, and so they were stalling traffic for a while. And so now that you're able to kind of sit back and remove yourself from that situation, are you still able to process what's happening, or what are your thoughts right now, looking back on what has now happened?
So actually, I was separated from my mom and Tristan, and so me and this other lady who got separated from her husband, we were kind of like sticking together, and it just kind of like gave me hope for a moment that like we all can come together, But in the moment, I was trying to keep her okay and keep her sane. And then I just didn't know how to react. I was trying to convince myself that it just wasn't real. It's just so random and so surreal.
And Judy, I'm curious too. You know, we've been able to attend several Trump rallies. We know the security process in that site, in that venue there in Pennsylvania. What was the security access like to get into the area where you were for that rally?
So it was very secure. We had to go through metal detectors, empty our pockets. They were wanding people, but the perimeter of the area seemed very open.
Yeah.
Like there was just a chain link fence. Like, you know, I went to the rally when he was at Latrobe Airport, and that seemed more secure. This seemed like way out in the open, like anybody could have hopped a fence. But if you were an attendee going in the proper way, it did seem secure. They were checking everybody.
You had mentioned that you've been to a Trump rally before. You went today.
Yes.
Yes. Moving forward, do you feel differently about going to more of these events?
No, I don't think so. I think that if we end up not going to these things and showing support, then the people that are perpetrating this act are getting what they wanted out of it. So.
And now tonight we're also speaking with people here in Greenville, getting their reaction to this shocking shooting that happened against the former president, Donald Trump, at his campaign rally in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's right. And Justin, most people, while condemning this shooting, they're also saying that it's not completely unexpected.
I'm not surprised. Really, he's made a lot of enemies through his term, and you know he's pretty boisterous.
I feel it's bad for the country. I don't believe that any candidate should be targeted for any violence, and I think it's bad for the country. I think it's not right.
I've been concerned in the past because I've heard people say that, you know, negative things, such negative things about him, and I was just afraid that somebody, you know, who was unstable might attempt to do something like that. So it wasn't a total surprise.
Tonight to what we've been seeing and what we've been hearing. And I know you have actually been talking to a historian too, who kind of talks a little bit about maybe the last time we've even seen something like this in our country.
Yeah, if you're familiar with a lot of our political coverage here, you know Dr. David Woodard from Clemson University. He comes in, one of our political analysts, has been around politics for a long time, decades and decades, a lot of experience. So we're able to sit down with him about really what this aspect means when it comes to this whole shooting. He's saying really it's a watershed moment, and he believes that moving forward, this is going to change the landscape of politics in regards of they're going to have to take more precautions, and these rallies, which are going to become staples for the former president, those will change forever. Here's what he had to say. All right. We will have him in just a little bit. We are dealing with a little bit of tech issues there this evening. But again, we'll have him coming up in just a little bit. But he said this will change the landscape in politics forever. So we'll have more from Dr. Woodard coming up in just a little bit.
And now switching gears to weather, we have some extreme heat on the way starting for the second half of the weekend and into the start of the new work week. 3 first alert weather days to tell you about. That's coming up.
And we're learning more about a deadly officer-involved shooting in the upstate when we come back. The latest on the investigation from police.
You're watching Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
He presented and pointed the weapon at officers. I cannot confirm at this time if it was fired.
And we're learning more about the officer-involved shooting out of Easley, where a domestic situation ends in a deadly shooting. This is a look right now back at that scene on Scott Avenue, where police were called around 1:30 this afternoon for an argument between a man and a woman. Police say at some point there was a woman and she was pushed and she hit her head. We do know that a child was with that woman at the time when officers arrived. They removed the woman and her son. Police say after much back and forth, that suspect barricading himself inside. However, when he did eventually come outside, he lifted his shirt showing a gun to police.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's when officers telling us that the officer shot the suspect. He did ask officers if the suspect shot at police, and they say they cannot confirm that at this time. Well, Cherokee County emergency officials are warning drivers to put phones down and pay attention after a vehicle that was traveling too fast slammed into a fire engine that was responding to a scene this morning. You can see just all that damage there in the front end of that vehicle. The accident happened on 85 around 3 o'clock in the morning. Fortunately, no firefighters were injured, but equipment on the engine was severely damaged to the back end of it there. The fire truck belongs to the Macedonia Fire Department. No word yet on the condition of the driver or if they'll face any charges.
And deputies say an attempted murder suspect arrested overnight after trying to shoot someone during a break-in. Deputies say that Dylan Thomas facing several charges now. They say he broke into someone's home on Bagwell Circle yesterday morning. When the owner came home, though, deputies say that Thomas shot at them and missed. Thomas is now at the Greenville County Detention Center.
And now, a Fox Carolina First Alert Weather Day update.
All right, a good Saturday evening to you, everybody. I'm First Alert meteorologist Brian Bachman here, looking ahead to 3 First Alert weather days that we have starting tomorrow and going through Tuesday. This for our latest round of extreme heat that's going to be settling back in. High temperatures, especially upstate, during these 3 days, anywhere from about 97 to potentially as high as 101 degrees. And that's just the air temperature. You pile the humidity on top of that, I should say, and we get to the heat index values. That's that real feel, anywhere from 100 to 105 degrees, perhaps a bit higher from time to time. So really do your best the next few days to limit your outdoor activities to the morning or the evenings. And just remember, overall, do your best as possible to stay cool and, more importantly, stay hydrated. Here's a look at tomorrow afternoon. You really see it here. A lot of spots upstate into the low hundreds for the real feel by the middle of tomorrow afternoon. This could vary a little bit from place to place because we do have the potential for a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms, but not something you should be banking on coming in to cool you off. They're going to be extremely isolated, much like today's activity. Going to Monday afternoon, we start to inch closer to the 105 end of that range there for our heat indices, and pretty much one more repeat performance on Tuesday before then finally in the second half of the week we start to see it ease up. Our high pressure heat dome is centered back over Kentucky tonight. That's going to be digging back in across the southeastern U.S. over the next few days, and that's where all the heat is coming from. But on future track, we're quiet for the rest of the night here, despite those pop-up showers and a few storms we had earlier today. We start off humid, but at least with mostly sunny skies tomorrow morning. But of course, that sun is going to heat us up quickly. Into tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 5, we see very much like today, those isolated pop-up showers or a few storms dying off quickly again into tomorrow evening, and then rinse repeat going into Monday. And those chances, mind you, will be increasing gradually as we go into the next few days. But low temperatures for tonight, not all that low. Low to mid 70s upstate, 60s in the mountains, and expect a humid, mostly sunny start in the morning. And there's your high temps tomorrow. Low 90s in the mountains, upper 90s expected to be widespread upstate. Much more in your 7-day forecast in the next half hour.
Take a look at what happened.
When we come back, we're continuing to follow breaking news out of Pennsylvania after an attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump. We're breaking down for you what we know and what we're continuing to learn.
Take a look at what happened.
As you heard, those shocking and scary moments in Pennsylvania at a rally where the former President Donald Trump was shot at. We now know that this is being investigated as an attempted assassination. Again, those terrifying moments and shots that you heard ringing out as he was talking to the crowd. Officials now investigating this, as we've said, as that attempted assassination.
And tonight, President Trump confirms he was shot in the ear and is okay. You can see blood on the side of his face as Secret Service rushes on stage, surrounds him, and then he starts to pump his fist to the crowd, mouthing "fight." The crowd then erupts in cheers as he's taken off the stage. The Secret Service just releasing a statement moments ago saying the suspected shooter fired shots outside the rally venue and was shot and killed by agents. Secret Service also confirms one person at the rally was killed and 2 others were critically injured. We are following this all very closely for you here tonight.
And coming up when we come back, we've got some reaction from upstate law enforcement officials when it comes to keeping large crowds like this safe, especially when former President Donald Trump was here in the upstate not too long ago. Well, this evening, we have been staying on top of breaking news out of Butler, Pennsylvania, where the former president says he was shot in the ear, injured at one of his campaign rallies today. We spoke with the Pickens police chief, who actually talked to us about providing security during large rallies. Just a year ago this month, we actually had former President Donald Trump here in the upstate in Pickens County, actually talking to crowds and supporters there. The police chief says that he's no stranger to events like this. He actually helped organize the security when it came to this event right here.
We had the benefit of 14 days. It doesn't seem like a long time, but 14 days to plan and transform our beautiful Main Street into a political event. In a rally, again, there is a component of magnetometers and screening and ticketed events. So everything that went into our rally is probably doubled at this rally in Pennsylvania. Anyone who runs for any elected office, it is sacred that they should be safe from any sort of violence, and especially when you get to the level of the office of the President of the United States, that and it is taken seriously. Hence the Secret Service and protection details and a real vigilance to that end. This is pretty shocking, sobering.
And as we continue to get different reaction throughout the state here tonight, hearing from local law enforcement and also local experts. If you're familiar with our political coverage, you know Dr. David Woodard with Clemson University. Tonight we were able to speak with him. He's been in politics for decades, and he said tonight was a watershed moment for America.
It was a shot at Trump's head. He's within 2 millimeters of being John F. Kennedy. This is the worst attempt on a president's life since 1963. If it'd been 2 more millimeters, he would be dead. And I think that is the most important thing. It's a very, very serious attack. The second is the timing. I think it has come after Joe Biden has had a terrible week as president, and whoever these people are, they decided they would go after the other candidate.
Now, reactions still pouring in, even those from Greenville here tonight reacting to today's shooting.
That's right. Many people calling this sad and really condemning this violence.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I hate that it happened to him, you know. I don't know. I think the presidents nowadays, they need to be in some kind of a enclosure instead of being out in public. You know, they need to do something like that to you know, keep them protected.
I think it's not right. Either one, either Biden or President Trump, shouldn't be like that.
But I just hate that it happened. I don't, regardless who it is, I hate to find out that anybody's been, you know, shot at or injured or killed or whatever. So.
Now, we do have all of our coverage inside our free Fox Carolina News app. Just scan the QR code you see right there on your screen. But of course, we need to let you know also about our first alert weather days coming up as we have some high temperatures.
Yeah, absolutely right, Anna. We've got another round of extreme heat settling in for the second half of the weekend and actually continuing into the first couple of days of the new work week. We got our next 3 first alert weather days for this extreme heat. It's going to be tomorrow through Tuesday. We're looking at high temperatures, especially upstate. Upper 90s, about 98 degrees, 99 in fact, potentially as high as about 101 from location to location. But on top of that, we of course are going to have the humidity building at the same time. So the real feel is going to be into triple-digit territory, ranging from about 100 to 105 degrees each of those days, but in a few spots, and at times it could even climb a little bit higher than that. And I wouldn't say it's much of a picnic out there right now. If you stepped out in the last few hours, even at this late hour, it is steamy. 84 in Greenville right now, Clemson at 81, Anderson 82. You got mid to upper 70s in many parts of the mountains as well. The humidity, of course, is what really hits you as soon as you step out into it. We're seeing a lot more dew points, especially upstate, climbing back into that oppressive zone zone on our scale there in the low to mid 70s, and these numbers will be ticking up a bit in the next few days, which is why we just expect this heat to potentially be so dangerous in the days ahead. Beyond that, though, it is a quiet night now at this point. We did have a couple of very isolated showers, quick rumbles of thunder, bubble up, that is, around mid-afternoon into the early part of this evening, but those have now quieted down with the loss of at least the direct sunlight for the day, and we'll keep it quiet throughout the rest of the overnight period here. Generally clear skies hanging on at this point, but notice most temperatures barely even dipping toward the low and mid 70s by the time most of us are waking up tomorrow morning. It's going to be a mostly sunny start in the a.m., which of course is really just going to help those temperatures climb rapidly for tomorrow. Again, heading for high temperatures in the 90s for tomorrow, upper 90s at that. We're talking about a triple-digit real feel for the next few days. We'll talk in more detail about those first alert weather days coming up in a few minutes, and we'll also have for you a full look at your 7-day forecast, which once we get beyond Tuesday, will eventually begin to show us a bit of a cool down here, so we can at least look forward to that. It's going to take a bit to get there over the next few days. Just make sure that you try to limit your outdoor activities to anything strenuous, I should say, outdoors to the morning hours or the evening as best you can. I know for some of us that might not be an option, so remember the other heat safety measures you can take. Just make sure you keep cool, keep hydrated, and anytime that you feel like you need a break, just make sure you take that as quickly as you can. Now I'll send it back over to Anna and Justin.
All right, Brian, thanks. So we continue our coverage here tonight of that shooting at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania. We know tonight that shooter fired from outside of a venue outside of that rally. And so that's according to Secret Service. They say the shooter was shot and killed by Secret Service. One person there at the rally was killed and 2 others badly injured. But tonight we know that the former President Donald Trump is okay. He confirms that he was shot in the ear with a lot of bleeding, but he is okay. We saw the moment where he was then covered by Secret Service agents and then lifted up and then fist bump to the crowd, yelling fight. We know he had medical treatment there in Pennsylvania, and he is okay tonight.
Yeah, that's right. This is honestly just incredible to watch, and you see him get up and the crowd starts cheering. He pumps his fist, but we do have his reaction that he actually put on Truth Social. We're going to put this up on the screen for you. It says, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I do want to extend my condolences to the family of the person in the rally who was killed, and also to a family where another person was badly injured." It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. Now, I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong, and I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt that bullet rip through my skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America. Again, that going on to Truth Social, and we're continuing to hear more reactions from people here in the upstate who are starting to learn about what has happened today. Here's what they had to say.
I'm not surprised. Really, he's made a lot of enemies through his term, and you know he's pretty boisterous.
I feel it's bad for the country. I don't believe that any candidate should be targeted for any violence, and I think it's bad for the country. I think it's not right.
I've been concerned in the past because I've heard people say that, you know, negative things, such negative things about him, and I was just afraid that somebody, you know, who was unstable might attempt to do something like that. So it wasn't a total surprise.
Now, again, we continue to get reaction from across the state and the country. We've been talking to people here in Greenville. We've been talking to U.S. lawmakers, state lawmakers as well. We're hearing reaction from Governor Master as well as Congressman William Timmons. But also this evening, we were able to speak with a family. They're at the rally in Pennsylvania. They have some ties to South Carolina. We were able to get connected with them, and they were speaking to us from their car because they were stuck in their vehicle for a long time because they were at that rally. Then once those shots were fired, that's when that became an active crime scene. And so they were slow to get out of that venue. Finally, when they were able to get out, they pulled over to the side of the road, able to speak with us, and we're able to hear exactly what that moment was like when shots were fired. And here is that interview with them from earlier this evening. Well, thank you so much for taking some time with us. First and foremost, we are all glad that you guys are safe and okay. But Judy, let's go ahead and begin with you. If you can take us back to that moment, were you even able to process what was happening there at the rally, which you were in attendance of?
No, it was very surreal. He had his thing up. He was talking about immigration, and we were just listening to everything he was saying, and then we heard gunshots. At first, I wasn't even really sure that was what was happening. It sounded like it was coming from the left of where I was. And then Secret Service was shooting back, and then they got him to get behind the podium. You know, Trump, they got him down on the ground.
You mentioned the Secret Service shooting back. Did you see that moment where they were returning fire?
Yeah.
I'm gonna chirp in. So before that, like the shooting started, I looked up because there was 2 snipers on each side of him, like on the roof behind him, and I saw them pick up their guns, their rifles or whatever it was, and the next thing I know, like that's when I heard the shots fired. We all got on the ground and saw Trump jump on the ground, have Secret Service push him over, and just really crazy.
It definitely sounded like 2 distinct sounds. Like the first sounds we heard were like more of a pop, and then what we think was the return gunfire was more like a more distinct gun sound.
Andrea, as you guys are sitting there now, I know it took a while to get out of the rallies because now it's an active crime scene, and so they were stalling traffic for a while, and so. Now that you're able to kind of sit back and remove yourself from that situation, are you still able to process what's happening, or what are your thoughts right now, looking back on what is now happened?
So actually, I was separated from my mom and Tristan, and so me and this other lady who got separated from her husband, we were kind of like sticking together, and it just kind of like gave me hope for a moment that like we all can come together, you know. But in the moment, I was trying to keep her okay and keep her sane, and then I just didn't know how to react. I was trying to convince myself that it just wasn't real. It's just so random and so surreal.
And Judy, I'm curious too. You know, we've been able to attend several Trump rallies. We know the security process in that site, in that venue there in Pennsylvania. What was the security access like to get into the area where you were for that rally?
So it was very secure. We had to go through metal detectors, empty our pockets. They were wanding people, but the perimeter of the area seemed very open.
Yeah.
Like there was just a chain link fence. Like, you know, I went to the rally when he was at Latrobe Airport, and that seemed more secure. This seemed like way out in the open, like anybody could have hopped a fence. But if you were an attendee going in the proper way, it did seem secure. They were checking everybody.
You had mentioned that you've been to a Trump rally before. You went today.
Yes.
Yes. Moving forward, do you feel differently about going to more of these events?
No, I don't think so. I think that if we end up not going to these things and showing support, then the people that are perpetrating this act are getting what they wanted out of it. So.
Again, our coverage continues of this. Just a few moments ago, we are now hearing from the Trump campaign and the Republican National Convention, the RNC, just releasing a joint statement not long ago. Again, the RNC, the Republican National Convention, begins in Milwaukee on Monday, just a day away here. So that joint statement just come into our newsroom saying in part, quote, as was communicated earlier this evening, President Trump is doing well and grateful to law enforcement and first responders for their fast action. President Trump looks forward to joining you all in Milwaukee as we proceed with our convention to nominate him to serve as the 47th President of the United States. As our party's nominee, President Trump will continue to share his vision to make America great again. We've got coverage. It continues. We also have First Alert Weather Days. More on those coming up after this.
All right, welcome back, everybody. First Alert meteorologist Brian Bachman here. Reminder, we are setting in now to 3 First Alert weather days for tomorrow through Tuesday. Tuesday. This is going to be for our latest round of extreme heat coming back in. I know we got such a break from it over the last few days, but here it comes back in full force. High temperatures over this stretch, especially upstate in the 97 to 101 degree range, and the heat indices. That's that real feel. Pile the humidity on top of the heat. It's going to feel easily like the triple digits, and in fact could be even up to, if not exceeding, 105 degrees at times. So you really over the next few days want to limit your outdoor activities to the morning or the evening hours, and also just make sure, of course, on top of all that, you stay cool as possible and you stay as hydrated as you can. Look at tomorrow afternoon, a brief snapshot here by 3 o'clock. There you see it. Low hundreds for most of us. Now, granted, over the next couple of afternoons, these numbers could vary from place to place and time to time, depending on where and if spotty showers and thunderstorms develop. There's the potential that, like today, we could see some of these hit or miss showers and storms, but not expecting those to be a widespread enough issue to really drag us into some more pronounced cooling. So don't bank on that being a way to get cooled off. We go into Monday afternoon, you see it just kind of elevates a little bit more day by day here. We get closer, many of us, to that 105 degree end of the range, and some of us, especially by Tuesday, flat out exceed that number by a degree or two. So just going to be some potentially very dangerous levels of heat here. So just to go over some heat safety tips here for you. I know a lot of us know this by heart being in the southeast, but just bear some good reminders here. One, make sure you drink plenty of water, or some things that have electrolytes. Don't rely too heavily on sugary drinks. Try to avoid alcoholic beverages. Those don't hydrate you, of course. Make sure you take frequent breaks from the heat. If you do have to be outside, find shady, well-ventilated spots, or even a place where you can get into some AC for a few minutes. Lightweight, light-colored, and loose-fitting clothing. That's what you want to go with. The light colors help you to reflect some of the sunlight so it won't absorb as much of the heat. If it's lightweight, of course, that'll be good for you. And make sure you wear loose-fitting clothing on top of that. Check on your neighbors and your relatives, and most importantly, remember too that heat is hardest on infants and the elderly. Here's the high pressure heat dome that's going to be bringing all of this our way for the next few days, but not completely keeping the shower and storm chance out of the picture. We'll start off with some mostly sunny skies first thing tomorrow morning, but then watch the skies tomorrow afternoon. While it's a low chance, possibility is there. We could scare up a couple of those hit or miss showers and a few thunderstorms as we go into the afternoon hours. There it is, your 3 first alert weather days, Sunday through Tuesday. High temps again, easily in the upper 90s, real feel in the low to mid hundreds. We start to gradually cool down midweek into Saturday with increasing chances for showers and storms as a cold front approaches. And we'll be back to some more comfortable 80s, even if it does come with storms in time for the start of next weekend. In the mountains, you got first alert weather days tomorrow through Tuesday as well. Your highs in the low 90s, but real feel at times in the mid to upper 90s. So make sure you plan accordingly there as well.
All right, Brian, thanks. And we now know just into our newsroom, CNN confirming that President Joe Biden has actually spoken with former President Donald Trump about today's happenings. And he's also been able to speak to the mayor of Butler, Pennsylvania. We don't really know exactly what has been said just yet. We're going to try and find that out for you, but that just into our newsroom tonight.
Yeah, the president saying he had expected to speak with the former president after that shooting, but we are continuing to get reaction throughout the state, even speaking with experts about what this moment means for the history of America. We spoke with Dr. David Woodard, who said that today is a watershed moment for the country. So you think tonight, a historic moment that we'll remember forever and will have lasting effects?
Of course. I don't think, Trump has rallies where he likes to get close to the people. And one of the things you need to understand is that politicians draw great strength from crowds wherever they are. They drink from them. It inspires them. It motivates them. It carries their candidacy. We've just changed tonight to where these are going to be much more secure, much more pristine, much more where people are going to be scanned before they can even get in the audience and that kind of stuff. I think it's a major turning point. I really do.
And so let's go in and look back. You mentioned President Kennedy, 1963, but we know of other attacks on presidents and presidential candidates. And so the history aspect to this, we look back and we think of President Reagan, but what else comes to mind for you when you look at it, historically speaking?
Now, the first person I thought of is Teddy Roosevelt. He was getting ready to give a speech, and he put his speech in his coat pocket. Somebody shot him, and the bullet went in where the speech was, and the speech stopped the bullet. And so he waited a few minutes, and he went in and he gave his speech, and he held up his speech on paper and said, "Someone just tried to shoot me." Well, that's what I guess ever since then, presidents have always been in danger. I mean, Ronald Reagan nearly died from the infection, not just from the shots. The doctors got the bullets out, but the infection that they caused is what really killed him. Nearly killed him. All the Bush father-son presidency were constantly under threats, especially from terrorists who said they were going to kill their daughters and attack their families. It's just a very dangerous job. We've always known that. But usually with domestic crowds, it was a time when you could mingle with the people who were there and shake hands and do stuff like that. And that's what I'm concerned about. Trump, this was a huge rally. Trump had lots of people around him, and I don't know whether they can get close to him anymore. It's just that frank.
And so I think, we are on the cusp of the Republican National Convention. Begins on Monday. You talk about how presidential rallies, especially those for the former president, will be changed forever. How do you move forward when those Trump rallies and his energy with the crowds and him exciting the crowds has been such a key aspect to his candidacy and his presidency and really his political career? So how does now he move forward within the confines of what the Secret Service lets him do?
Right. I think this is very high drama for the convention. And when he appears on stage, it's going to be one of those historic moments because people have been waiting for him. They wonder how he is. I think most people will go to bed tonight thinking that he lived, but they see the blood on his ear and realize how close he was. And no one knows how many other people were injured or anything like that. So when they see him, it's going to be a very high dramatic moment, not just for the Republicans, but for any American citizen. And I suspect he will do well. I don't think he will play to this. He should play to it. He should play to the audience on other issues. But this is high drama for us in American politics. It's a turning point in the way we elect presidents tonight.
How important is it that you see Democrats rally around this and respond to this and make statements of thoughts and prayers for the former President Donald Trump? We're hearing from the former President Barack Obama. We're hearing from President Biden speaking on it as well tonight. How important is it that those from the different party are coming out to make sure that they stand in solidarity against political violence?
Well, I think you'll hear from George W. Bush. He wasn't invited to the GOP convention, but I think he realizes that this is beneath contempt. And you'll hear from all the former presidents saying something like this. I think across the aisle, it's very important because all of them realize what I've been trying to emphasize, that this is a very watershed moment and they want it to be over and they want to show unity with the American people and confidence in our democracy and the way we elect people. I think they're going to say things like that, but we all know the situation is very different after what happened.
I always enjoy our conversations because you have so much insight and so much knowledge, and you've been around politics for so long in so many different avenues. So if I could here take a moment and just seek some advice from you, what would be your message to people here in South Carolina, to voters, as we live in this divisive time? What would be your message to them here tonight with such a tragic moment happening and really, like you said, this watershed moment? What would be your message to them in hopes of bringing America together?
Thank you, Justin. I would tell them, don't let them win. Go to rallies, go to meetings, go to associations, be an active citizen in a democracy, and don't let the enemy scare you away, whoever they are. Try and meet your candidates. We're about to have an election. Go out and meet who's running. Talk to them. Go to rallies they have. Try and do something. Get out of your chair. Be active. Be participative. And be what the founders wanted, which was an active electorate that was interested in the process. And I think if we do that, we'll defeat the terrorists. But I think if we sit back and just watch TV and look at what's on the internet, we've lost our citizenship. In effect, we've turned it into a commercial. So be active, get out. That's what I would say.
Dr. Woodard, thank you so much. Always appreciate your time. Thank you. And again, our coverage continues. Make sure you go and download the free Fox Carolina News app. You can go and scan that code, get breaking news alerts sent straight to your phone. This is an active and ongoing investigation that's shooting against the former President Donald Trump. Stay with us. We got some more after this. We'll be right back.
Take a look at what happened.
Once again, you are hearing those gunshots that took place at the Trump rally that happened in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania this afternoon. We are learning more details just as the hours continue. This is now being investigated as an assassination attempt. We know that the shooter was killed. There was another person in the crowd that was also killed and another who was injured as well.
That's right. This is an active, ongoing investigation of the Secret Service. The president confirms that he was shot in the ear and is expected to be okay. You see the former president there, fist pumping, saying fight to the crowd. That's when the crowd erupts in cheers. You can see blood on the side of his face as Secret Service now take him off that stage. Secret Service saying tonight the suspected shooter fired shots outside of the rally venue and was shot and killed by agents. Agents also confirm one person at the rally was killed and 2 others were critically injured. And tonight we're now getting a joint statement from the Trump campaign as well as the Republican National Committee, because on Monday the Republican National Convention begins in Milwaukee. This is that statement here. It says, quote, as was communicated earlier this evening, President Trump is doing well and grateful to law enforcement and first responders for their fast action. President Trump looks forward to joining you all in Milwaukee as we proceed with our convention to nominate him to serve as the 47th President of the United States. As our party's nominee, President Trump will continue to share his vision to make America great again. So tonight, the RNC confirming that the former President Donald Trump still intends to be in Milwaukee there this week. The Republican National Convention begins on Monday, runs until Thursday, but now we know he is okay. And tonight, he's saying he does still plan to be there in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and Justin, this is a moment in our history. We were talking tonight that something like this actually hasn't happened in our country in quite some time. So a lot of reactions coming in tonight. We're going to continue to have a lot of this on our website, foxcarolina.com, and our Fox Carolina News app. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow.